पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। From verse 36 we can chant. सदासीदिति शब्दार्थ भेदे वैगुण्यमापतेत् अभेदे पुनरुक्ति स्यात् मैवं लोके तथैक्षणात्। कर्तव्यं कुरुते वाक्यं ब्रूते धार्यस्य धारणम्। इत्यादि वासनाविष्टम् प्रत्यासीत् सदितीरणम्। कालाभावे पुरेत्युक्तिः कालवासनया युतम्। शिष्यं प्रत्येव तेनात्र द्वितीयं न हि शङ्क्यते। In last three verses, the author sought to explain the use of the expression Sadeva Somya Idamagra Asid Sad Asid. Sat was or existence was. Looks like existence is endowed with the attribute of existence. That means existence and was, are they two different things? Or existence was, they mean the same thing. Both ways you saw that this is a defect in expression. If they are two different things, then there is duality. If they are the same thing, then it's tautology, repeating the same thing. He says, well, Sadasit, existence was. That is similar to Kartavyam Kurute. Very often we say, Kartavyam Kurute, he does what is to be done. Vakyam Brute, he speaks this speech, he speaks the speech or he speaks the sentence. Dharyasya Dharanam, he is bearing the burden. So these kind of expressions are there in common parlance, and just keeping that in mind only, the teacher said, Sad Asid, that Sat was. Not to imply that Sat is endowed with some other kind of existence, or that is not the intention. Sad Asid, Sad and Asid mean the same thing, but just the colloquial expression it is. Also you say Agre Asid, before the creation, the Sad was. So Sad was before. Why do you say before? Does it mean that Sat is not now? But Sat or Brahman is very much now also. And why do you say before? He says, Kalavasanayayutam Sishyam Pratyeva. This before meaning some reference to time with reference to Sat is only just addressing a student who has this kind of samskaras of the time. But then Tenatra Dvitiyam Nishankade. Normally when you say pot was, a man was, or something was, that means that that pot and the past tense, both of them existed together. When we say pot was, means at that time also was and pot also was. So pot and time, when both of them go together, then alone we can use the expression pot was. Or pot is, then time is and pot is. So usually this reference to time means that an object is conditioned by time. The object also is and time is, this duality is there. When we use a similar expression of Sat or existence, when the Sat was, does it mean that along with Sat even time also was at that time? The answer is no. There is no question of time being there because Sat is that which is beyond the time. But still this was is only in keeping in mind this orientation of the student who is accustomed to think in terms of time. And so in order that he can dismiss in his mind the whole creation by visualizing a condition that existed before the creation, to enable him to do that alone, this was, or the expression of past tense is used here. But there is no intention to imply the presence of time before the creation, because time also is a creation alone, and so it cannot be there before the creation. So intention is not to imply duality between Sat and time, just the intention is only with reference to the student's orientation. Now in the verse 39, Idanim Siddhanta Rahasyamaha, all these questions we are asking, this Siddhanta Rahasyam, this is what the real Siddhanta, the principle of Vedanta is, or this is the Rahasyam and secret, the secret of the Vedanta Siddhanta. Says in verse 39, Chodyam va pariharo va Kriyatam dvaita bhashaya Advaita bhashaya chodyam Nasti napi taduttaram. He was Chodyam va pariharo va. Chodyam means a question and parihara means an answer. This question or questioning something and answering that. Dvaita bhashaya va kriyatam. All these questions and answers are only possible Dvaita bhashaya, in the realm of duality. This whole business of question and answer can exist only in the realm of duality. Vyavahara dashayam chodyadi kartavyam. In Vyavahara dasha, in the realm of duality alone, this kind of questions and answers are possible because a question requires a certain concept. An answer also requires a certain concept. So only concept of past, present, time, etc., only when these concepts are there, then alone this question can be raised as to how do you say that a Sat was. To ask that question also a concept of time is called for, and all these concepts are possible only in the realm of duality. They are not possible, he says, Advaita bhashaya. However, with reference to Advaita, non-duality, Chodyam nasti, there is no question also, Napi taduttaram, nor is there an answer. So we must know very well whenever a discussion takes place, what is the standpoint that is adopted there. Very often the discussion is with reference to what we call Vyavaharik Satta or this relative reality. Very often the standpoint is shifted to what we call Paramadhik Satta or absolute reality. And many a time people confuse between these two and come up with variety of notions. For example, they dismiss all such things as prayers and worship and everything else because it is all duality. and God is not different from me, and therefore, why should there be any worship or prayers? He says, God is not different from me, is Paramarthik Satta, or it is the absolute truth. But in the Vyavaharik Satta, where I at the moment perform my Vyavahara, or at the moment I exist, or which I at the moment take to be real, then what is your present experience? Present experience is that Lord is different from me. And so it is in that realm that the worship and prayers are. In which, so that they become means for you to ultimately gain knowledge of the Paramartha. And so, very often these questions and answers, they get totally confused because someone is asking question, and some people ask questions from the Vyavaharik standpoint and they are dismissed by Paramarthik standpoint. Somebody says, I'm very sad, I'm unhappy. What are you talking about sadness? Very sadness. There is no sadness at all. Who is sad? So, I am sad. How do I know you are sad, And like that you can totally dismiss a person. And so wherever the Vyavaharik problem is there, it is better that the discussion takes place at the same level where the difficulty is. It is true, of course, that the Vyavaharik difficulties can never be solved by the Vyavaharik answers. Ultimately, the Vyavaharik problems can be really resolved only when we appreciate that the Vyavahara is only relative. And that means the problem also is relative. Or that what I consider a problem is because of giving reality more than what it deserves. But either you can dismiss Vyavahara from the standpoint of Paramartha, or we can project variety of things about Paramartha from the realm of Vyavahara. And so variety of concepts, names, etc. are used, which are all actually applicable only in the realm of duality. And it says, therefore, Advaita Bhashaya Paramarthatastu Advaitamev Tattvam. The question and answers, etc. are only possible in the realm of duality, not in the realm of non-dual. Someone asked Swami Vivekananda this question once, says, what is this, Swamiji? Why has God created this kind of world? Why is there so much suffering in the world? Why is there so much disparity and injustice and this and that? He says, well, what can I tell you? All your questions are based on giving reality to this creation. Your questions are like this. Last night you were dreaming. Next morning you wake up and tell me, why did you borrow 100 rupees from me? Why did you do this to me? So when did I do? Yes, last night in the dream. So now in the waking state, when you ask the question pertaining to dream, what is the validity? That can happen only when you give reality to dream even now. And then alone you can ask this question, why did you say this to me last night? When would that be possible? Only when the dream is given reality. But when you wake up, then these questions pertaining to dream are not valid anymore. So why did this happen? How come in the dream I saw an elephant with 4 tusks? How come I saw a red dancing elephant? If you ask these questions, when did you see? You saw it in dream. And therefore, there can be no answer with reference to waking. The answers and questions, both of them, should have the same degree of reality. So the questions that arise in your mind are all because of giving reality to the Vyavahara, or all the questions are from the concepts that are born of this duality. And therefore the questions have no relevance with reference to the non-dual, and the answers also cannot be there because there is no questioner and no one to answer also. And therefore this is Siddhanta Rahasya. All these questions you are asking, why do you say Advaita Sad was? Why do you say before? I said all these are only the words that are used which are applicable only in Vyavahara. Through these words there is an intention on the part of the teacher to reveal the truth which is beyond the words. So we do not expect to reveal the truth as a meaning of these words, but these words only become aid for the student to appreciate the truth. And therefore, this kind of shankas or doubts that you are raising, these doubts really have no place according to us, because these doubts are only possible only in the realm of duality, and the answers are also possible only in that realm, whereas in the non-dual, which is beyond questions and answers, not within the realm of speech and the mind, both questions and answers are not feasible. Paramarthataha dvaita bhave smritim pramanayati. Here, the author quotes a verse from Yoga Vasishtha to show the Dvaita abhavaha Paramathatah Dvaita abhave. In reality, there is total absence of duality. True, the duality has some kind of reality as much as perception is concerned, but in the ultimate sense, this duality is totally unreal. It dissolves totally into what we call the non-dual. And for that is quoted a verse from Yoga Vasishta. This verse 40 says here, Tadastimita gambhiram na tejo na tamastatam anakhyam anabhivyaktam satkinchidavashishyate. Tada. Tada means when, then. Then meaning when the duality is completely resolved, which you can understand as a state of, that is a state that obtains before the creation of the duality. Then, or the state that obtains when the whole duality is resolved as in dissolution, or the state that exists when all the duality is completely resolved in my mind, and all that is nirvikalpa. So tada, at that time, meaning when there is merely the non-dual, the nirvikalpa. Stimita gambhiram says stimitam. Stimitam means nischalam. What there is, this truth is nischalam. Nischalam means motionless. When there is no motion, there is no change, changeless. Gambhiram. Gambhiram means duravagaham, something that is inscrutable. Manasa vishayikartum ashakyam. That what can be scrutinized, that which can become the object of perception of the mind, or which can be visualized by the mind, which can be objectified by the mind, which can become a concept of the mind. Brahman is not an object of mind, nor can it be conceptualized by the mind, and therefore it is beyond the comprehension of the mind. Duravagaham manasa vishayikartum ashakyam. Sat is manasa vishayikartum asakyam. Not possible to be objectified by the mind, meaning it is not within the scope of the mind. Na tejaha. You cannot say that Sat or Brahman is tejaha, that it is light. Tejastva anadhikaranam. It is not some kind of a light that you can say. You cannot even describe it as light. Meaning it is not adhikaranam or even the abode or the ashraya or the substratum for the light. Na tamaha tamasaha vilakshanam. Nor can you say it is darkness. Tamasaha vilakshanam, something quite different from darkness. Anavarana svabhavam. So you cannot say that it is light, meaning something that can be perceived or objectified. Nor can you say it is darkness, meaning that something that is not known. Anavarana svabhavam is something that is self-effulgent. It being self-effulgent, you cannot say that it is not known. And it is not light in as much as it doesn't become an object of the knowledge, object of the mind. Therefore it is not light also, nor it is unknown. As Kenopanishad says, Anya devatad viditat aso aviditat adhi. It is different from viditam, what that is known, and different from the unknown. It is different from the known in as much as it is not an object of knowledge like a pot is, and different from the unknown in as much as it is still an object, it is still self-revealing. It doesn't require to be illuminated by any other light, and so it is beyond light and darkness, or beyond what we call knowledge and ignorance both, where knowledge also is a vritti and ignorance also is a vritti. Na tejas na tamas tatam. Tatam means vyaptam. It is something that fills up everything. Vyaptam. Anakhyam vyakhyatum asakyam. That which cannot be described, that which cannot be defined, because it is not within the scope of the words. Anabhivyaktam, which is unmanifest. Chakshuradibihi api avishayikritam. It is not something that is an object of perception by sense organs. So it's called anabhivyaktam. Abhivyaktam means that which is perceptible. which is manifest to the organs of perception, anabhivyaktam, not manifest to the organs of perception. Anakhyam anabhivyaktam sat. Sat means something that is existent. Shunya vilakshanam. All of these may mean that it is shunyam or what? You say that it is not manifest to the organs of perception. You say that it cannot be described by words. You say that it cannot be objectified by the mind. You say that it is neither light nor it is darkness. It is immovable. Does it mean it is shunyam? He says no, it is sat. Sat means something that is existent, positive, shunya vilakshanam. Something different from shunyam or different from void. Ataha eva kinchita. He says, sat kinchit avasishyate. Kinchit, something is there. Idantaya nirdeshtum ashakyam. You cannot say it is such and such. Idantaya nirdeshtum ashakyam. That which cannot be pointed out or indicated as idam, as this, or cannot be said to be such and such. Although it is a positive entity, still it cannot be described as such and such. So, kinchit avashishyate, something that remains as an irreducible substratum. After having reduced everything, after having negated everything, what remains as non-negatable or irreducible substratum is called avashishyate. Dvaita nisheda avaditvena avadishthate ityartha. Meaning that avadishthate, it remains as dvaita nisheda avaditvena, as very avadhi, the very limit of dvaita nishedha. What can be negated is dvaita, and dvaita nisheda avaditvena. So this sat or existence of the truth remains as the very avadhi, the very limit of the negation of duality. And so as you keep on negating duality, what cannot be negated, what remains as a very ultimate limit of the negation is the sat or advaitam. But it is immovable, there is no movement in time or space. It is gambhiram, which cannot be objectified or comprehended by the mind. Beyond the light and darkness, which fills up everything, which cannot be described in words, is not manifest to the senses. But still it is not shunyam. It is shunya vilakshanam, something that exists. But you cannot say it's such and such. Idantaya nirdeshtum ashakyam. So kinchit avashishyate, something is there. That's all you can say, something. Why? Because you cannot describe it as such. But then something is there, meaning that it is something positive. We are not talking about negative, we are not talking about non-existence or void. Dvaita nisheda avaditvena avadishthate, something that remains as the irreducible substratum of everything. In there is no question, there is no answer, there is no description. This thing does not lend itself to any question and answer. What can be questioned, That which is a matter of your experience. So something that you can experience, something that is within the realm of your experience, that alone can become the object of questioning or doubt. There cannot be even doubt also, because this is not perceptible at all. This cannot be comprehended by the mind, and therefore any question and answer that you are asking, all questions and answers pertaining to some kind of a concept that you create in your mind. When we use the word Sat or Brahman, some concept is created in the mind, and with reference to that concept, various questions are asked. So when somebody negates God, what does he negate? Some kind of a concept he has about that God, that is negated. Somebody says, I believe in God. What kind of God he believes in? Again, some kind of a concept he has in his mind, that he accepts. That which is beyond the concept, for that there cannot be negation, nor there can be acceptance. Meaning, there cannot be any questions. All doubts, etc. are all raised only in the realm of duality. When someone raises doubt about God also, he raises doubt about the God of his concept. How can God be like this? How can he create the world like this? Why should there be so much suffering? Why should there be this? He expects that God should do exactly what he thinks should do. Then he would accept God, you see. Except that God, this world will not last for a minute also. If everybody's concept, what everybody wants is done, even God cannot do that. But suppose he tries to do, it will not last for more than a minute, if at all. Because Russians will want it one way, Americans will want it altogether a different way, and perhaps so on and so forth. There are such altogether contrary requirements that if you try to fulfill them, in a moment the whole thing will be blown up. There will be some crazy fellows who will want to blow up the whole creation also. I am sure there must be some people. And therefore it is good only that the creation is not according to our requirements or concepts. It is what it is. But all questions, answers and whatever is always a reference to some kind of a concept we have, which is called Vyavaharik Satta, or which is this duality. In the realm of duality alone, these questions and answers have a place. True, somebody is asking questions about snake, why is the snake so crooked? Why is it 6 feet long? Why is it like this? Now someone who knows that this is rope, what can you say about it? Says, well, these questions will all vanish when you will come to know what it really is. Or you may try to answer it also, just to satisfy the person, because you cannot just, if you say that there is no snake, then the fellow will not accept it because I see it. How can you say there is no snake? I see it. There is fear in me. There is blood pressure. You measure my heartbeats and everything, and it shows a snake is. Now to that fellow, if you say there is no snake, it just won't work. And so somehow you have to lead him to appreciate that the snake is false. But his question is not valid, and whatever answers you give him also will have the same validity. Understand? He says, don't worry, we'll drive the snake away, okay? We'll do something about it. Or suppose he comes and says, I have a snake bite. And now slowly and slowly the poison is rising. That's what happens. If there is a snake bite or a scorpion bites you, then poison slowly spreads in the blood. And from the toe where it is bitten, it slowly rises up. That's why they tie this, and stop that circulation for the poison to further spread in the bloodstream. But he may even experience that. He says, no, I know the snake has bitten me. It's okay, don't worry, I'm going to call you. I'm going to chant some mantra now. And then this, the poison will go away and something like that. So the answers that you give are also going to be the same degree of reality as these questions in a way. So all questions pertaining to snake are irrelevant with reference to reality that exists. And so also all the questions that you are asking are also irrelevant with reference to the reality which is subject to questioning, because it never becomes an object of your perception. It doesn't become an object of your conceptualization of the mind, and therefore it cannot come within the realm of questioning, and therefore there can be no answers also. But question answers continue. Still, they will continue here. Otherwise, how if he is writing 1500 verses, he won't write that. Now, having talked with the Shunyavadi, some other fellow now has to ask questions. Says, Nanu Janimatvena Anityasya Bhumyadehe Asatvam Astu Nityakashasya Asatvam Kathamangi Kriyate iti Shankate. Tarkika Shankate. Now you see, after all, some of these questions may not be relevant now because these views are no more prevalent. This author is answering variety of questions according to views which were prevalent at that time or which were important because people already had that kind of orientation. Just as here, people may come from different places or having heard different teachers. Somebody may have heard Krishnamurti, somebody may have heard Rajneesh or somebody, and so on and so forth. So from different backgrounds people come. And therefore it is necessary to deal with all those prevalent ideas, because they are relevant to the person who has been exposed to those ideas and in whom these ideas have created certain concepts. And therefore it becomes necessary to address all those things. Otherwise the student will not be able to grasp what is being said here, or he will perhaps color or distort what is being said. Now in the time when this book was written, some 600 years ago from today, all these thoughts were prevalent. The Naiyayikas, all the sorts of debates were going on those days between the Shunyavadins, between the Kshanikavadins, between the Tarkikas, Naiyayikas, Vaisheshikas, Sankhyas. All of these were very powerful people arguing. Now we don't know any Vada anyway, and therefore the arguments are not relevant. Today nobody knows anything. Since this kind of learning is only confined now to a very small number of people, and also the Sankhyas and Naiyayikas are still today also. And they would perhaps have the same kind of arguments But perhaps today it may be more relevant to address ourselves to what Krishnamurti says, or what some other teachers say who have a lot of great influence upon the people. It may be more relevant to say what Ramana Maharshi has to say, or what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has to say, and so the recent teachers who have a lot of impact upon the people. It will be necessary to address all those things. However, this discussion does help us to apply our mind to a certain logical way of thinking, and that is how to possibly eliminate many doubts which may arise in our mind, or to be able to enable us to develop a clear thinking. So that way all these question answers, some of them may not be directly relevant today, are still quite useful to us. Says Nanu Janimatvena Anityasya Bhumyadehe Asatvam Astu. Alright, there are these Naiyayikas who say that Akasha is Nityam. So the Naiyayikas say Akasha, the space, element space, is Nityam, indestructible. Those fellows accept so many Nitya, so many indestructible things, of which Atma is one, Akasha is another, and so they accept these as indestructible things. Okay? So they say that from Akasha again the rest of the things are created. Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, all the rest of the four elements are created. So Nanu Janimatvena Anityasya Bhumyadehe Asatvam Astu. Bhumyadehe, all the elements beginning from Bhumi or the earth. So earth, water, fire and air, these four elements, because they are created, therefore we would say that they are also subject to destruction, because what is created is subject to destruction also, and therefore they are asat or unreal. We are willing to accept that. Nitya akashasya asatvam kasamangi kriyate. But then, how do you accept the asatvam or unreality of akasha space which is nitya? Because what is the definition of real? Real is that which cannot be created, meaning that which is not subject to change or destruction. Akasha is not subject to destruction, and therefore it is nityam, and therefore it is satyam or real. Then how do you say that Akasha also? You say that the whole creation beginning from Akasha is unreal. How do you say that Akasha is unreal? Nitya Akashasya asatvam kasamangi kriyate. They just say that the element Akasha or space is nitya. We are going to ask him, how did you arrive at that? But he says, how do you justify saying that Akasha or space is asat or unreal? So this question is asked in the verse 41. Nanu bhumyadikam bhut paramanvantanashataha katham te viyato sattvam buddhimarohati chet. Nanu bhumyadikam bhut Paramanu Antanashataha. As you said, these Naiyayikas go along with the Vaisheshikas, who are what we call the atomic scientists, and they say that there are these atoms, the combination of which is this whole creation, and so Paramanu Antanashataha. They say that these elements, which is earth, water, fire and air, at the time of pralaya or dissolution, the whole creation ultimately resolves into these four elements. Paramanu anta nashataha. This whole manifest creation comes to an end, nashataha, and when it dissolves completely into the paramanu or the fundamental atoms, which are not subject to further destruction. However, up to that point, all this creation is destroyed or is resolved, and therefore we say that it is asat or unreal. What is unreal? These four elements and all the things that are created from them. We may accept that this creation, which is a product of this combination of four elements, is unreal because it all ultimately resolves into the paramanus. Okay. Katham te viyata asatvam buddhim arohati. But how do you visualize in your own mind? Buddhim arohati. How does it become evident to your buddhi? Or how do you understand it by your buddhi that viyata asatvam, that space is asat or space is non-existent, how do you arrive at that? We are willing to accept that the creation other than space, because they say the space is uncreated, everything else is created. The space that is uncreated and not subject to destruction also, says, if you want to read this second footnote, Paṃcadaśī gade prāga abhāva pratiyogitve sati dhvamsa pratiyogitva lakṣana nityatva šālinopi navasah pralaya kāla vacchedanapi vidyamanatva vaidhuryam katham buddhirudam bhavati iti. Prāga abhāva apratiyogitve sati, this akasha element is not subject to prāga abhāva or prior non-existence. So what is subject to prior non-existence? That which is created, a part. Part is a creation and it's an effect. It can be creation only when at some point in time it was not. And at some point in time it came into existence. Then alone we call it creation. If a part ever existed, then we cannot say that it is created. When you say part is created, it means that at some point in time it came into existence and before that time it was not there. Meaning that the part is subject to what we call prior non-existence. Anything that is created is subject to prior non-existence. But akasha is not subject to prior non-existence. Means it is not created. Dhvamsa apratiyogitva. And something like part which is subject to destruction also is subject to posterior non-existence. Dhvamsa. So dhvamsa abhava or posterior non-existence or destruction. Vyat or akasha is not subject to destruction also because it is nityam. So akasha is nitya because it doesn't have prior non-existence nor it has posterior non-existence. It is neither created nor destroyed. Navasaha pralaya kala vacchedenapi vidyamanatva vaidhuryam. Vidyamanatva vaidhuryam means absence of vidyamanatva or non-existence. Pralaya kala avachedanapi, even in the time of pralaya, how do you say that akasha is non-existent? Because akasha is not born, nor it is not created, nor it is subject to destruction. And therefore, the non-existence of akasha, how did it come into your buddhi? Katham te buddhim arohati. How do you see in your intellect the non-existence of akasha? Please tell me. So Nayayika is asking us that how do you see in your mind the non-existence of akasha? The answer is given in the next verse. Drishtanda avastambhena pariharati. With the help of drishtanda illustration, this question is answered here. Atyantam nirjagad vyoma yatha te buddhimashritam tathaiva sannirakasham kuto nashrayate matim. Tadaiva, in your book it should be corrected to tathaiva. Tadai should be changed to thai, tathaiva. He is asking a question, how did you visualize in your mind the non-existence of space? Well, we are asking, how did you come up with the space in the first place? He says, Atyantam nirjagadvyoma yathate buddhimashritam. Atyantam nirjagad, jaganmatra rahitam. You say that space continues to remain even when the whole creation is not there. Then alone it will be called nitya. When will you say that the space is eternal or nitya? When the space persists or continues to exist even when everything else is destroyed. Even when the whole creation is destroyed, if the space continues to remain, then we say that space is indestructible or space is nitya. So we are asking him this question, Atyantam nirjagad vyoma jaganmatra rahitam. This vyoma, the space which is totally devoid of any trace of creation, means the whole creation is totally destroyed and now there is space without even a trace of creation. Yathate buddhimashritam. In whichever manner you were able to visualize this space without the rest of the creation. Tathaiva, in the same manner, sannirakasham, we are able to visualize the accept or existence without space. In the same manner in which you are able to see in your mind the space without any rest of the creation, in the same manner we are also able to visualize Sat or existence without space. Why should we not be able to appreciate the non-existence of space? If you are able to appreciate non-existence of everything other than space, in the same manner we can also appreciate the non-existence of space. So we can appreciate Sat or existence without anything else, same way that you can appreciate Akasha or space without everything else. Same manner. Means the answer is given in the same manner as the question is, which doesn't satisfy him. You see, you can always silence a person, but you cannot silence his mind. Very often in the arguments, we may be cleverer in terms of arguments, and therefore we may present arguments which are perhaps superior to his argument, therefore the fellow shuts up, because he has nothing to say. But that doesn't mean that he is quiet, in his mind he is resisting. Outwardly we may present arguments against which he has nothing to say, but inwardly his question is not answered. And so even when he answers like this, the fellow is not quiet yet. He says, Nahi draste anupannam iti nyayam ashritya chodayati. This is a nyaya. Nahi draste anupannam. That which is a matter of experience or that which is evident should not be dismissed by reasoning. If anupannam, upapannam means reasonable or tenable. Anupapannam means not tenable. Draste, that which is seen or that which is perceived or that which is experienced, that cannot be in fact proven to be wrong. Because perception of pratyaksha is the direct praman. And by inference or reasoning, you cannot disprove something that you experience, Suppose you experience the fire is hot. By reasoning you prove that how can fire is not hot, Suppose you prove that by some reasoning, he says that reasoning will not be acceptable because they experience fire to be hot. Sometimes this happens. People who are very anumanika chakshushaha, those fellows accept anumanam or inference as the only ultimate means of knowledge. Sometimes they go to such ridiculous extent that they will dismiss even something that is evident. I think I once told you this story, that here is a man who is lame, who cannot walk. One day he was taken by his friends for a picnic to a place somewhere in the forest, in a deep forest. And then what happens is this fellow left him there and then went away to do some further, perhaps trekking or whatever it is. And then they just went away. And this fellow was left there in the evening, for the whole night, and he was totally lost. He did not know what to do. So next morning, the rest of the people came away, and this fellow was left in the forest. Next morning, this fellow received a phone call that this Devdatta was left in the forest. He is back. So this fellow asked him the question, how can he be back? He cannot walk, so how can he come back? And he cannot get a ride also because he is in deep forest there. Who is going to give him a ride? So how can he be back? He cannot be back. But he is right here. He cannot be back because you cannot explain. Since his returning is not logical or doesn't seem to be reasonable, therefore we say that he is not back. Even though you see him, he is right in front of you, but still these fellows will say that he is not there because you explain to me how can he be there. If you cannot explain how he can be there, I say that he is not there. So this is called draste anupannam. Even though you see this thing and still also you dismiss it because it is not reasonable according to you. Well, then you have to apply reasoning properly. Maybe somebody went there and maybe by accident somebody happened to be there and he saw this man and brought him. Or he found a horse or something like that and was able to anyhow climb and come back. Or something happened by which he must have come. You must apply your reasoning in such a manner that it is in keeping with what is known or what is experienced, rather than applying reasoning to dismiss something which is evident. And that is what they say. That why are you dismissing what we are saying? This Nayayika says. Nahi draste anupannam. We say that space is. That's all. It's a matter of experience. How do you say you cannot see it or you cannot know it? He says, Verse 43, he asked the question, the Nayayika, he asked the question. Nirjagad Quadrustam kinchate pakshe na pratyaksham viyat khalu. He says, Nir Jagat Vyoma Drashtam. We say that space devoid of the rest of the creation is Drashtam, is something that is known. And so if it is known, since it is known, then you cannot dismiss it by insisting that it cannot be known. We say that it is known. Then we ask him, how did you know? Nir Jagat Vyoma Drashtam. So if you say that you have seen this Vyoma or the space without the rest of the creation, Paṃcadaśī na Kvadustam. When creation is not there, there is no Prakasha and there is no Tamas also. There is nothing there. See, earlier verse said, that verse 40 said, Stimitam Duravagaham Gambhiram Stimila Gambhiram Na Tejas Na Tamas Tatam. There is no Tejaha, no Tamaha. So before the creation, that is when Sat is, there is no Tejaha, no Tamaha. There is no light, no darkness. So we are asking him, if you say that you have seen this Vyat or the space, when rest of the creation is not, meaning that there is no light, there is no darkness, and still you have seen this Vyat, then Kvadustam, where did you see it? Because without the light, how did you see this Vyat? See, in order to see all these different objects, you require light, or you require darkness to see something else. To see ghosts, etc., you require darkness. And to see the objects please, while you require light, and to see ghosts, you can't see ghosts in light. Ghosts can be seen where? When there is darkness. So, there is Prakashat Tamasī vina. When there is neither light nor darkness, then you can neither see the objects of the world, nor can you see such things as ghosts, etc. So, these are the two ways of seeing things. None of this is possible, none of this is present at that time, and therefore please tell us, Kvadrustam, where did you see the space? When light is not there, darkness also is not there, where did you see the space? If I saw it with my eyes, well, te pakshe na pratyaksham viyat khalu. It is interesting that these Naiyayikas do not accept space as perceptible. We also say, space is not perceptible, means you can't perceive it through eyes. According to them, element space is only inferable, not perceptible. The element vayu or the air is perceptible because it is subject to perception by touch. The element fire is perceptible because we can see it by eyes. Element water is perceptible, we can taste it by tongue. Element earth is perceptible, we can smell it by nose. So these four elements are perceptible, but space cannot be perceived. Then how do you say that there is something called space? They say that we experience these five things. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These five forms of perceptions we have. And we know these four elements are there. We know that earth has the quality of smell, the water has the guna of taste, the fire has the guna of form, and the air has the guna of touch. So these four we can verify. The only thing that is left is what? Shabda or the sound. So the guna must always have an ashraya, that is, a dravya must be there. Dravya or substance is guna ashrayam. There where the guna, that is the locus of a quality. A quality always must have a locus. Like good, when we say that good must always have a locus, a good person or a good thing. Or bad, when we say that bad cannot hang by itself, it must have a locus. A bad person or something bad. And so also, we find that there is these four gunas, namely Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These four have their locuses in four respective elements. So the fifth one, Shabda or the sound, which also must have a locus. And that which is the locus of the guna sound is called Akasham. So it is by the rule of elimination that they infer here the presence of the element Akasham. And you can't, there is no, according to them, it is not perceptible. So he says, Te pakshe na pratyaksham vyat khalu. Te pakshe, according to your view, This Vyat means spaces, no pratyaksham is something that cannot be perceived. So you cannot perceive it also, and therefore how do you say that the space is seen by you? Or how do you even arrive at saying that space is eternal or it is nitya? You cannot say that. So the point is, when the different people come up with different theories, the question is, did you see it? Or is it possible to see it? When they talk of shunyam, for example, shunyam is something that you can never see. You can never arrive at shunyam of the total non-existence because, as we said, the person who claims that I have seen non-existence, he himself exists, and therefore there cannot be a thing called total non-existence. Similarly also, on one hand, these people say the space is not perceptible. If space were perceptible, then it is destructible. That they agree. Whatever is perceptible is destructible. Space is not perceptible, therefore it is not destructible. Therefore it is not created, and therefore it is nityam. That's what they say. Atma is not perceptible, therefore Atma also is nityam, according to them. And space is not perceptible, so space also is nityam. Okay, if it is not perceptible, then how do you say it is nityam? Or how do you say that it remains even when the rest of the creation is totally dissolved? So darshanam eva siddhamidi pariharti. Prakasha is not there, tamas is not there, apasiddhanto vidyaha. And if you say that you have seen the space, then you are in fact going against your own siddhanta, that space is not perceptible or space is not an object of perception. And if you say that you have seen space, that means that you are contradicting your own siddhanta, your own principle. Okay. Continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.